This podcast is produced by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada.
Hello, and welcome to Canada as I See It. So, I'm not a celebrity. I don't know hundreds of thousands of people, but I do like to meet people, and I do like to talk. And you are here listening to me, so there's a mutual support thing going on here. I am a proud Canadian, but I'm also someone who is trying to understand and support those who lived on this land hundreds and thousands of years ago. And I support helping people come to this land as my ancestors did to build a new life. Today's podcast was introduced by Vladimir, who brought his family to Canada last year and who has been a wonderful supporter of this podcast. Thank you so much, Vladimir. This week, along with everything else that we've all been experiencing, Canada was introduced to its newest Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Mark Carney. I want to answer a few questions that you might have about the office of the Head of Government for Canada, and I'll only preface the first one, and you'll recognize the others because I will state them in the form of a question. Question 1. How many Prime Ministers have there been? Canada has had, including the present, 24 Prime Ministers, dating from July 1st, 1867, the date that Canada, as we now know it, became Canada. How long does a Prime Minister serve? Officially, at His Majesty's pleasure. Or, in layman's terms, as long as the King, or the reigning monarch, wants. Actually, the Constitution of Canada from 1982 sets a maximum of 5 years for each majority government from the date of the last election. A minority government, much as what we have now, generally lasts less than that. What Prime Minister has served the longest continuous time in office? There's the qualifier. Well, that would be Wilfrid Laurier, our 7th Prime Minister, the gentleman whose likeness is on our $5 bill. That's the blue one for you non-Canadians. He served from July 11th, 1896 to October 6, 1911, a period of 15 years, 2 months, and 26 days. Interesting thing about our $5 bill, you thought you wouldn't get any tangents this week? In the early part of the 21st century, that's our most recent one, people began to notice the facial similarities between Mr. Laurier and the Star Trek actor Leonard Nimoy, and began altering select $5 bills so that it appeared that Mr. Spock was on our money. It was called Spocking. Well, not illegal. The Bank of Canada advised people to not deface the money, noting that it shortened the life of the bill and, well, could ultimately cost everyone more because it would have to be replaced. Well, Mr. Laurier's image was altered in the 2013 issue so as not to look like everyone's favorite Vulcan. On December 16, 2024, it was announced that Mr. Laurier's image would be transferred to the Canadian $50 bill, and that's the red one. And Canadian hero Terry Fox would be the new face of the bill. Mr. Laurier served the longest consecutive term, but it was William Lyon Mackenzie King who was Canada's longest-serving Prime Minister, holding office for a total of 21 years and 154 days over 3 non-consecutive terms. Now, one thing there that you should note is that you'll see that there is no restriction in Canada for a prime minister as to how long or how many terms he can serve. Next question. What prime minister has served the shortest term in office? Well, that would be Sir Charles Tupper at 68 days. He became Prime Minister during a scandalous time in Canadian politics in the late 19th century. There was actually a bit of confusion as to who was PM at the time, but he subsequently lost the office in 1896 when he was defeated by Mr. Spock, Wilfrid Laurier. Charles Tupper isn't on any of our money, but well, he wouldn't need any spocking to improve his image because he had a really kick-ass set of mutton chops. So check it out, Charles Tupper, and you'll see what I mean. Has a woman ever served as Prime Minister of Canada? Yes. The Right Honourable Kim Campbell served from June to November of 1993. Unfortunately, only 132 days. She took office when Brian Mulroney resigned as Prime Minister, much like the situation we just experienced with Justin Trudeau and Mark Carney. And she was defeated in the election she called by Jean Chrétien, without ever seeing a sitting of Parliament. Of note, she was also the first baby boomer to serve as Prime Minister, being born on March 10th, 1947. What party has served the most as Prime Minister in Canada? Well, there have been 11 Liberal and 13 Conservative governments in Canada. And, well, this is one of those subjects that could easily fill an hour of my time. If you want more on that, please email me at asiseeit@warpole.ca. There are many people who have their nose out of joint because they believe that the current Prime Minister did not legally gain that office. He wasn't elected. We didn't vote for him. Okay, again. We do not elect our Prime Minister. The procedure to install him was about as Canadian as it gets. There have been 11 Prime Ministers out of 24 who were appointed, either after the previous person resigned or died in office, as in the cases of John A. Macdonald and John Sparrow David Thompson. That's a name. In fact, John A. Macdonald's death started a series of 4 appointments to the office, and 3 of those all presided over the 7th Parliament in Canada. That tracks because usually we don't begin a new Parliament until after an election. The current Prime Minister will preside over the 44th Parliament. There, I did your research. Another question that comes up with the gentleman who's currently in office: do you need to be a member of Parliament to be Prime Minister? No, you do not. There is no legal requirement. However, it is optically in their best interest to gain a seat as soon as possible. And this is done in one of 2 ways. An MP from what is considered to be a safe seat, one that's unlikely to be contested, they will resign so that the sitting PM can run in a by-election and take over that riding. Well, the other, and more likely in my opinion in today's situation, is that there will be a general election called. The person will run in a riding as a new candidate and win the seat. It's loosely the same thing, except that rather than resign, an incumbent MP will simply step aside to allow the person wanting the seat, the PM, or potential PM, to take over. So there's a brief overview of Canada's highest office. If you would like me to expand on any point I have mentioned today, please contact me at asIseeit@warpole.ca. I didn't spell it the last time, so here it comes. Get your pens. WHORPOLE.ca. And I will work on unzipping that subject. If you would like to introduce the program like Vladimir did, please record yourself saying, "This podcast is produced by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada." And then you can email that to me at that address I just gave you, asIseeit@warpole.ca. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. I will talk to you again next week. And that's a part of Canada as I see it. It is written and produced by me, James Warpole, and brought to life by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada. Our theme song is Night Owls by Braden Deal. If you have any questions or comments, please email me at asIseeit@warpole.ca. Join us every Sunday for another episode of Canada as I See It.